We are going to be talking about how to auto number your steps in Lucidchart. This isn't necessarily going to be adding a unique reference number to each of the steps. This video is going to cover how to display which step number the shape is in the process by counting how many steps are before that specific step and then adding one to that number. So there are two ways to do this. One is via conditional formatting. The second is via a combination of shape data and conditional formatting. So the first thing we're going to do for this conditional formatting option is to come up to the conditional formatting tool and create a rule. I'm going to name this auto numbering 1, and the data source is going to be a formula. And this formula is going to say if the shape upstream of that specific shape in question is empty, then I would like to number that shape as 1. So pretty much the first shape is going to be a number 1 because there's nothing before it. If not, then I want to count all of the other shapes before the shape in question and then add the shape in question to that number. From here, I'm going to copy this formula and I'm going to come down in here and I'm going to use an icon and I'm going to use a text badge so we could display that number. I'm going to have the background be white because I like that. And I would like it to appear in the top right hand corner. And rather than it showing a custom text, we're going to put in that same formula that we just described here. And I want to auto hide empty values. So as I save this conditional formatting rule, I want to make sure that it is applied to everything. So as I add more shapes onto the canvas, you can very quickly see that that conditional formatting is auto numbering these specific shapes, keeping in mind that it will count the preceding shapes. So there will be multiple step 3s if you start to have a branch. Okay, now if you add some other type of information to the canvas, you'll want to click that information and unapply that rule from that specific shape so it's also not getting counted or that number isn't showing on it. Okay, so that is how to auto number through conditional formatting. Another way that you can auto number is through what we call at Lucidchart shape data. Shape data can be found over on this right hand side here, and I'm going to add a new data field called step. And in a very similar thinking, we're going to create a formula here where if the shape upstream of the shape in question is empty, then we want this value to be 1. If it is not empty, then we are going to want to pull the step number from the preceding shape and add 1 to it. Okay, so now I can see that this step is has a 1 value there. Now if I were to add another shape onto this process, to do that, you can create a custom shape library and drag that specific shape onto the canvas. And this shape has that data set attached to it as well. And you'll even be able to pull from that custom shape library. So now you can see as I drag that out, this step has a number 2, that step has a number 1, and I can continue to draw using that custom shape library, and you can see those step numbers increasing on the right. Now if you want to display these values, you can either just add that step number to the canvas itself by clicking that +T button. And you can even have that number displayed before you add it to the conditional or to your custom shape library. That way the number is already displayed. Or you can create another conditional formatting rule. So I'm going to call this rule auto number 2. And I'm going to have the data source come from the shape data. If the step is not empty, so if that property is not empty, then I want a custom icon to appear. I should say a text badge to appear. Apologies. I want the background to be white, and I want that value to come from the data property step, and I want it to appear again in the top right-hand corner of the screen. So the nice thing about this method is if you do add other types of shapes to the canvas that don't have a step property, the conditional formatting won't number them automatically because it will only number those shapes that have that step value attached to them in the data source. Okay, so to recap, you will be able to use a combination of conditional formatting and shape data to auto number your steps. The thinking behind both formulas or all formulas is to display a 1 if the shape before it is empty. If it is not empty, then you'll count the shapes before it and add a 1 to that value.